ethnic unity law. Now, this raises a number of questions as this law comes into effect, and particularly looking at the plight of the Uyghur community. And we have been talking about this for a very, very long time. And this is somewhat of a forgotten story across the world. It does crop up from time to time, but the plight of the Uyghurs is a huge cause for concern. Now, the question is, this ethnic unity law that China speaks about has already been denounced as forced assimilation by many right groups as this law comes into effect, and critics fear that this will further erode the rights of Uyghurs, Muslims, and also possibly allow China to pursue people across the world. Joining us this morning is World Uyghur Congress President Dolkun Isa. Dolkun, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, and we do appreciate you taking time out this morning.
Good morning, wa alaikum assalam. Thank you invited me. I just make small correction. I was the president of World Congress, former president, and in 2014 I stepped on because we had two-term presidency rules, so that's why I'm not the president anymore.
Okay, we'll say the former president. Okay,
Yes,
brilliant.
former president, yes.
Right, Dolkun, let's talk about this ethnic unity law. Now, we've already starting to see a reaction coming through. It has been denounced, and clearly there are many, many concerns, particularly with regard to the rights of the Uyghurs.
Well, thank you first covering this issue. This is very critical, and it is the very important issue. As you know, the Chinese government adopted this law, Ethnic Unity and Progress Law, in March, and just yesterday, 1st of July, implemented into the law. Actually, this law main purpose was completely eradicated other ethnic nationality ethnic group in China. As the Chinese government, according to the Chinese constitution, there is a 56 ethnic group or minority. Since the Chinese Communist Party established, and since the Chinese Communist Party and they ruled the whole China and occupied East Turkestan, occupied Tibet, then Chinese government's policy is continually and has never changed assimilation and discrimination policy to other ethnic group. It is very clear. This is the sustainable, not changeable policy of Chinese government. But 2013, Xi Jinping, current president of China, Xi Jinping took power, and this policy, discrimination and assimilation policy towards the Uyghur Muslim particularly, into change into genocidal policy. So it is mean Chinese government no implemented this rule, adopted this law, but this policy and before this eradication Uyghur identity, national identity, religious identity, language, and this is implemented long years ago. But in China, everything was starting implemented by the Chinese Communist Party order, not by the law. 2014, Chinese government and put 3 million Uyghurs, Kazakh, other Muslim population into the concentration camp and starting genocide. Then we are doing advocacy, and a lot of international human rights organization raise this issue. Many countries speaking out on this issue to the UN, and even UN high commissioners for the human rights also issues and a report on this, published report. Uyghur Tribunal, People's Tribunal was taking place in the London. Then the verdict and the Uyghur Tribunal and the judge Chinese government against the Uyghurs population is genocide, crime against the humanity, and the torture. So far, 11 national and 10 national parliament plus European Parliament adopt a resolution on Uyghur genocide. So after this, Chinese government very difficult situation. A lot of international pressure. So China now adopted this role, saying, "Wow, I'm doing everything according to by the law." So it is mean this is already exists. This ethnic unity progress law, so called, already implemented since many years before. Eradicated Uyghur language from the school, and eradicated is Islam from the normal daily life. Since 2015, 16, starting and the targeting and the Muslim and the religious identity of Uyghur, and the closed 8,000 mosque, completely demolished. Another 8,000 mosque partly destroyed, and this 8,000 demolished mosque place established bar, hotel, public place, something like this is documented not only by the Uyghur organizations, the World Uyghur Congress. This documented international independent research institute, for example, Australian National Research Institute, ASPI, published report using Chinese resource, satellite image, everything, and they published 2021. This is the reality. So today, China and adopt this role, and they're saying it's just legalize and legalize. I'm doing everything according to the Chinese law. So this is the intention. It is very dangerous. Chinese government and they reject it. It is mean you on the basic way, and they're trying to eradicate Uyghur identity, Tibet identity, and this is the issue today we have faced.
Yes, but also Dolkan, when you look at the purpose of this thing of this law is China talks about a forge or a shared national identity amongst ethnic groups. The key question here is with the persecution, and you've pointed out to a genocide as well, with the persecution that has been taking place for a very long time, where every sign of religious identity, Islamic identity has been eroded, whether we're talking about force feeding during the month of Ramadan, the closing of mosques, all of this has actually taken place. And how can one actually have a shared identity under these conditions, but also looking at a clause in this law where people like yourselves who are outside of China at this point in time, where the clause talks about holding people liable for violating this law, even when you are outside of China. Now, this obviously is a major cause for concern, where we look at people like yourselves and activists and people that are fighting for the freedom, for the liberation of the Uyghur people or the people of Tibet as well. They are at risk of being persecuted as well.
Yes, it is. So, I already mentioned in the Chinese government, it is just saying is a share is different of ethnic group in this is identity. No, it is not. Some not like no. At the beginning, I am already told China is a so-called is a 56 ethnic group or ethnic minority or something not like. But except the Tibetan and Uyghur, rest of them 54 nation already assimilated. They are lost language. They are lost identity. What happening just the 1st of October is a Chinese National Day. Bring some of them people from this ethnic group, just dressing is a national dress and singing. And this is the all, just a museum already. So, but we are Muslim, we are Uyghur, we have our own history. We are not any link in the history with China, culturally side, linguistic side, religious side. We are completely different ethnicity with China. So we are trying, Allah creating with as Uyghur, so we are trying to survive our own national identity. This is the Chinese government, Tibetan as well, same. That's why Chinese government as a Uyghur as a exists, then it will be threat was the Chinese national for the China. This is the basic view of the Chinese government. Chinese Communist Party never accept diversity. This law, and you will all nation, all people should be same. One nation. It is mean Chinese. It is mean every ethnic group already 54 already being Chinese assimilated. So this law mostly targeting Uyghur and the Tibetan. This meant, and you will be because Chinese government since established since the Chinese People's Republic China since the 75 years use different of way, forbidden Uyghur language, Tibet language, boarding school, forbidden mosque. It was not first time. It's Chinese Cultural Revolution time, 1966 to 1976. 10 years also banned all religious place, mosque, temple, Buddhist temple, everything. But after the Mao's died, we have a little bit freedom of the religious language, but no again starts. That's why Chinese Communist Party trying different of way, use the assimilation, discrimination, but not success because we continue struggle, fighting or identity. So that's why this time, and they implement this role of this law. Then in the I do everything completely eradicated, and only one Chinese nation exists in China. Rest of not exist. Only Chinese language is exists. Uyghur language and the Tibet language, other language should not be exist. This is the primary idea of the Chinese government. Yeah.
Yes, and also Dolkun, I think just finally, as a World Uyghur Congress, how are you going to be responding? Because we've seen already statements come through from some of the other governments and also even from the United States of America.
Yeah, World Uyghur Congress and after this law and before adopted and also before implemented this law, we are warning to the United States, European country, even United Nations. Just 2 weeks ago, I and also some other my colleague from the World Uyghur Congress, we went to the Geneva, attending 62 section of the Human Rights Council section. We raised this issue. Even last section, and every time we were warning to them, and China is intention is very dangerous, should not be silenced. If you the countries, the world, entire world silence, and just because of the economic interest to silence all, it is very dangerous. It is China's this intention not only dangerous for the Uyghur Tibetan. Today is Hong Kong democracy is over today, and the Taiwanese sovereignty is under threat by the Chinese government. It is mean is a so-called democracy, rule of law, human right, international order. This is all threat by the Chinese government. So that's why we told entire Europe, United States, and rest of some country we are doing. We have the advocacy work. We are warning this from all experience. We know very well. We understand how dangerous of the Chinese communistic ideology because they are not accept any other country and any other value. Just Chinese Communist Party, if possible, he expanded. It is authoritarian rule, communistic ideology, not beyond of the Chinese border, should be expanded in the globally. This is a threat. So we are trying to explain this. But sometimes, and listen to us, but most of some country is an international institution because of the Chinese economic relation, because of the temporary benefit, then ignored it. This is the very sad situation. It is not only, as I said, threat for the Uyghurs, the Tibetan, it is the threat globally. It is the threat all humanity.
Yes, Dolkun, we're going to have to leave it at that. But once again, we do appreciate you taking time out. We will continue following developments, and from time to time, we certainly will be focusing on the plight of the Uyghurs, which we haven't forgotten. We've covered it over and over a period of time, and certainly this is something that we'll still need to look at going forward. But for now, we thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you very much.
Dolkun Isa, former president of the same to you as well. Former president of the World Uyghur Congress, Dolkun Isa, with us this morning. We're going to go for a break. We come back. It's going to be Jummah Inspirations.